Hi guys, Vino here and welcome to this OTGV or on the go video or a vlog from my phone. Basically, it's currently just gone 10 past 8 p.m. on Saturday 24th of May 2025. I hope you guys are doing really well. I was supposed to start this video literally just after I ended the other one, but what I do with these videos is I put my phone onto do not disturb. I record the video so I'm not disturbed while recording it, and then take do not disturb on afterwards. And a friend had messaged me afterwards, so literally just after that last video I tended to that friend because they needed some comforting. Basically tended to that friend, and then I kind of forgot that I was going to go straight into this other video. So the piece of information that I held off saying at the end of the last video that I was going to say at the beginning of this video is that I've been signed off now until the 28th of June. So I have a few weeks extra just to make sure that I'm tickety-boo back to 100%. So that's the piece of information. Yesterday I also received a package. So I sent off my Bloodborne base game and its expansions to somebody, and they sent me in return some board games. They sent me Frostpunk plus 2 expansions, the Side Quests expansion and the Frostlander expansion. They also sent me Final Girl. They sent me the Final Girl core box and 3 of the add-ons that you have to buy with it. I'm really like how Final Girl is packaged. It's really compact, really easy to set up, and I'm really going to enjoy playing some Final Girl. The irony of it is there's actually somebody on Facebook Marketplace right now on one of the board game exchange groups that's actually selling a load of board games. In fact, there's a load of people selling a load of board games because next weekend is the UK Games Expo in Birmingham in the NEC Centre. It's called the NEC Centre. So a lot of people are gearing up for that, and of course posting what games they're going to be selling at the UK Games Expo. So there's a lot of people selling a lot of games at the moment. And as a result of that, obviously there's a lot of sales posts popping up. And there's one person that's selling Final Girl that has like 5 or 6 of the add-ons, maybe more than that. A lot of them I don't have. One of them I do have, which is so each of the add-ons to Final Girl are from specific movies. One's Friday the 13th, one's That One Elm Street, one's Poltergeist, one's Alien, one's The Thing. You know, they're all from well-known horror movies across the years. So to speak, they're non-copyright infringing versions of those films, if you will. But they've got a bunch of the expansions there, and I'm actually in talks with them to maybe get hold of that. I'm also in talks with somebody else to get hold of XCOM board game and Hegemony. However, they're selling it with all the expansions and a load of extras for £150, but I've just found someone who's selling it for half the price. So I'm actually in talks with them. Hopefully I sent them a message to hopefully they can bring down their price, because obviously there's a big disparity between the £60 the other person's charging and the £150 they're charging. So I need to work out what's going on there. And I'm also in talks with someone about getting Frostpunk. So they have Frostpunk and all of its expansions bar 1. So what I'm going to probably do is get back all that stuff basically, and then sell the Frostpunk base game with the expansion I already have with what I got from that other person, and then have all the other expansions and go from there. Basically, so I'll recoup some of the cost of that from that by selling off the base game and that expansion, and then going from there. Maybe I'll message the seller and see if they're willing to separate it out. That could be a way of going about it. Maybe I'll just message the seller and see if they're willing to separate things out. They may or may not be willing to. We'll see. We'll see on that one. But that's the plan. That's the plan as it currently stands. Signed off. I've just, not literally, but in the last couple of hours, I watched the latest episode of Doctor Who. I'm going to be saving my opinions and doing a separate video on it, on this channel probably, and going from there. Essentially, I made the mistake of kind of baking in my previous review into an OTGV. Maybe I'll just split off that part of that previous OTGV and make that its own standalone video. Who knows? But yes, I'll be giving my opinions on the latest episode of Season 2 of Doctor Who. Wish World is what it's called. I'll be giving my opinions in a standalone video. Probably I'll record that tonight or tomorrow, and we shall go from there. I'm still in two minds whether I upload it to this channel or whether I'll upload it to Gareth the Geek channel, because that's meant to be for all geeky stuff. And of course, Doctor Who is very much a geeky thing in some ways. Anyway, I'm going to go for now. Actually, see, I'm kind of laid in bed right now, just relaxing. Got a bottle of Coke here at the moment. Yeah, things are going well at the moment. Things are going well. Check back with you later, guys. Hi guys, so it's currently just coming up for 6 p.m. on Monday the 26th of May 2025, and I'm in a really good mood right now. So I've managed to pre-order something that I didn't think I'd be able to get this soon, to be honest with you, and it's something that the stars have kind of aligned and allowed me to get, and that is a Switch 2. Now I have pre-ordered the base Switch 2 because the one with Mario Kart World included is out of stock everywhere. But I managed to pre-order it on my Nintendo.com or NintendoStore.com or Nintendo Shop, whatever it's called, doesn't really matter. I managed to pre-order it on there. So yeah, I'm really happy that I've managed to pre-order it, and I'm kind of trying to sort of contain myself a little bit. I did do it 2 hours ago, and I've been busy for the last 2 hours doing some bits and bobs and all that kind of stuff, but I'm so happy that I managed to pre-order it, and we'll get into how I managed to pre-order it in just a moment. But I will say it does look like Nintendo have reduced the price of the digital version of Mario Kart World. So if you do buy the base Nintendo Switch and then you were to buy Mario Kart World digitally separately, you're basically paying the same price that you would if you bought the Mario Kart World Switch 2 bundle, which that's quite nice, to be honest. They've done that because I think they did that knowing that obviously there was a stock shortage of Switch 2s at the moment, especially the Mario Kart World bundle, and obviously there's a lot of bad press at the moment surrounding Nintendo on the pricing of the Switch 2 itself, the pricing of the games, the fact they're charging for that pack-in game. I'm using air quotes because people have their own opinions on this. I have my own opinion on all of this, and that will probably be making its way into a kickback discussion at some point. But for now, I'm happy that I've managed to pre-order a Switch. I am going to have to move around some bills here and there, because at the moment all I can afford is literally a Switch to itself. So I won't be able to afford any games, I won't be able to afford any accessories, not that I'm getting any accessories, because I'm sticking with the accessories I already have for the Switch 1. That's one thing I will say, by the way, guys, if you are looking to get a Switch 2, all of the peripherals and accessories for the Switch 1, unless they physically attach to the Switch, will work with the Switch 2. So the Joy-Cons, the Pro Controller, any of the USB controllers, I think all work with the Switch 2. And the reason I'm saying that is Nintendo have been eerily quiet on that front, which makes sense because they're trying to push the accessories for the Switch 2, such as the Switch 2 Pro Controller, which I will get that Pro Controller at some point down the road, but for now I'll stick with my Switch 1 Pro Controller, because it has served me very, very well. Obviously, if anything connects to the Switch itself, it's not going to be compatible with the Switch 2, because obviously the dimensions are different and all that good stuff. So obviously from that point of view, then you're going to have to rebuy. But anything that's wirelessly attaches to the Switch, or you would just straight up USB, will work on the Switch too. Nintendo have quietly confirmed this in some of the Switch 2 documentation and release information. You can find it buried on one of their many websites that they have for the Switch 2, or I think the main Switch 2 website. So I'll be keeping all of my peripherals for now. I will be getting Mario Kart World digitally, and I'll probably be getting the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, so I can have the upgrades for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And I'll probably buy that little packing game, whatever it's called, not Nintendo Land. I've forgotten what it's called right now, but that like $10, pound, whatever, little packing. A lot of people think it should have been a packing game. I've got my own opinions on, whether it should have or should have not been a packing game, but I'll leave those for another video at that point. Well, I'll probably buy that and just dick around with it, play around with that, and play little mini games that are in it to get to know the Switch 2 a little bit better. But obviously, primarily, I'm going to be buying it for Mario Kart World and for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, for the upgrades for those. And I'll probably be getting Donkey Kong Bonanza July 11th is when that launches, if my brain serves correctly. So I'll be getting that. Trying to think what else I might pick up, if there's anything else off the top of my head that I want to pick up. But yeah, that's the plan. So the way I managed to pre-order it is I got a notification on my phone, because obviously a lot of places are starting to ramp up, because the Switch 2 is coming out in 2 weeks. Oh, hang on. A week Thursday. Week and a half. Wow. That's even quicker than I thought it was. So a week and a half. So it releases next Thursday, June the 5th. Obviously, and places are starting to ramp up. I'm a member of many different Switch groups or Nintendo groups on Reddit and other places, so I got a notification, and somebody mentioned that there are some still available on various websites. You just need to go looking. So I'll go looking. Went on Amazon are out of stock. I then just typed Switch 2 pre-order into Google, and up came from My Nintendo. It came up saying that you had to have a Nintendo Switch Online subscription, which I don't currently, because I'll be honest, I haven't played my Switch 1 in donkey's years at this point. I'll be honest with you. Used to play it a lot with friends. Used to have a group of friends that we all played Mario Party, Mario Kart, Stardew Valley, loads of games together with, but unfortunately I'm no longer active with that friend group anymore. So I haven't played on my Switch OLED for quite some time at this point. So I subscribed to the base version of Nintendo Online, the £3.49 version, and then I refreshed the page twice, and it allowed me to pre-order the Nintendo Switch. I think you do have to have 50 hours of online play, lifetime play on there. I think it's like 50 hours, something like that. I've got more than enough online play hours on there. I don't know if they removed that requirement or not. You just have to have an online subscription. I don't know. I know that I have plenty of online hours on there regardless. And then I managed to pre-order it, and it's now sat for pre-order, waiting for it to be dispatched. Enough time to arrive next Thursday. And I've just realised, yes, it's a week and a half away before I get my, I can now say it, my Switch 2. That's a real nice thing to say, actually. So I've got the finale of Doctor Who Season 2 this Saturday, which I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I am going to be watching some classic Who this week, just to refresh my memory and sort of get up to date on the Rani, Omega. Sorry, spoilers, by the way, if you haven't seen the most recent Doctor Who episode. Rani, Omega, various bits and bobs, Susan. I want to get up to date with some of them, so to speak. I was going to say something else. Yeah, just want to get sort of up to date on some of the returning characters that come from classic Who that are now in modern Who. So that's really exciting. I also have a board game arriving later this week. So I was in talked with a few people about buying some board games, but I've dropped out of some of those deals, so to speak. But there's one person I'm getting an XCOM board game from, which I'm pretty much looking forward to. I am looking forward to. And then, next Thursday, Switch 2 will be arriving. And of course, in the meantime, I'll probably upgrade my subscription to the expansion pack subscription. That also means in the meantime, I can play some Game Boy Advanced games and N64 games on my Switch 1 for now. And yeah, at some point, I need to take down my Switch 1 to CX, because I'm going to be selling that to fund part of getting the Switch 2. I'm really excited. Now I've realised it's a week and a half away, or less than a week and a half away. I'm really excited for the Switch 2 now, and I'm probably going to be lapping up all the release media, because to be honest, I've been ignoring a lot of the release media. Once I decided to kick the Switch 2 into July, so to speak, I haven't been looking at a lot of the release material. I haven't been paying, that's slightly a lie, but I'm trying not to pay attention to all of the drama surrounding Nintendo, because I decided a couple of years ago that I'm not going to get involved in online drama and vitriol and negativity, because it wasn't doing good for my own mental health a couple of years ago. So I try not to get involved in too much of that. But obviously now I pre-ordered a Switch 2, I'm more actively interested in some of that stuff. Yeah, so that's the plan as it stands at the moment. I do still have my £20 voucher from CX, so when I go down there to trade in my Switch 1, I might pick up 51 worldwide games, because I've watched a couple of streams recently of people playing that, and I really want to rebuy it and play some of those games, which are a bunch of fun at the end of the day. Bunch of fun. Anyway, I'm going to go for now. I'm going to watch some YouTube, probably message back a couple of people that have messaged me while I've been recording this segment, and I'll speak to you guys in a bit. Oh, I'm just popping him back here because I completely forgotten all the excitement that I also received a small board games on Friday. Don't think I've mentioned this yet. So I sent off Bloodborne to the person who I traded with, and I received back Final Girl and Frostpunk, which I'm really excited to check those out. Final Girl looks really cool, the way that the game sort of oral, self-contained. I'm really looking forward to playing Final Girl. I just need to sort out the filming room to be able to play that properly. And Frostpunk, the board game, which I'm actually really looking forward to seeing how they've managed to take the computer game and turn it into a board game. To be honest, I got Frostpunk because I was sending them Bloodborne, and I wanted Final Girl, but Bloodborne was worth quite a bit more than they were selling Final Girl for. My Bloodborne bundle was worth £150 to £200, so I looked through what they had, saw Final Girl, I was like, I want Final Girl, but also I was like, I'll take Frostpunk as well, because that makes the value comparative. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing how they've managed to transition Frostpunk into a board game. So yeah, that's what I got on Friday, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing those and what have you. So yeah, I can't remember if I mentioned this in this vlog before. If I have, I apologise, but I just thought I'd mention it again because I'm really excited. Thank you for listening. Hi guys, so it's just gone 25 to 11 on Tuesday the 27th of May 2025, and this OTGV runs the risk of becoming a Nintendo Switch 2 OTGV, but not necessarily in the way that I would like it to. So one of the previous segments, I said that I don't get involved in internet drama anymore. I don't get involved in controversies. I just let the internet say what it wants to say, and I let it roll off water like a duck's back, or roll off like water off a duck's back, I should say. And case in point, so Woodhawker beat 'em ups put a tweet out a couple of days ago, yesterday, whenever it was, saying that the Switch 2 box and the Switch OLED box look very similar, and that the general public are going to see those two boxes, see that on the Switch OLED box, the Switch itself looks brighter, it looks more inviting, but somebody's going to pick that box up instead of the Switch 2 and buy their nephew, niece, grandkid, son, daughter, sister, brother, whatever it may be, friend, the wrong Switch. And you can just imagine the situation that it's someone's birthday or Christmas. Someone's expecting a Switch 2. They open up their wrapping paper and it's an OLED Switch rather than a Switch 2. I see where Wood is coming from, because yes, they look very similar. His tweet caused a lot of controversy. There's a certain contingent of people out there that are very doom and gloomy about the Switch 2. It's almost like mentioning Nintendo, mentioning the Switch 2, mentioning, anything about that either triggers them because of the controversy surrounding the pricing and Nintendo's messaging, and which is really funny because, of course, Randy Pitchford a few days ago, or about a week ago, mentioned that Borderlands 4 being $80, basically fans will find a way to be able to afford the $80 for Borderlands 4, and a load of people have turned around and said, no, I'm going to wait 3 years for it to appear on Steam for like next to nothing, or appear in a dollar bin somewhere like Borderlands 3 now is. You can pick up Borderlands 3 for next to nothing if you know where to look now, either for any console or for the PC or what have you. Either it triggers them because of that controversy, or it triggers them because, and I've never ever understood this mentality. Never. It triggers them in that other way, and that you're trying to say that the Switch 2 is going to fail. Sorry, because the box looks too similar to the Switch OLED. So one thing that this video obviously isn't going to get as many views as would get, because he's got 1 million or 2 subscribers now versus my just about 500. Sometimes I think I'm going crazy when I say some of these things. The Switch 2 is not going to fail. Okay, I was actually in a discussion with somebody a while ago on Reddit that literally his opinion is that if the Switch 2 doesn't do better than the Switch 1, it's a failure. That's not how business works. If the Switch 2 sells half of what the Switch 1 sells, it will be successful. Because the Switch 1 is the second best-selling console of all time, just behind the PlayStation 2. The PlayStation 2 sold 160 plus million units, and the Switch 1 is at 140, 150 million. It has become the second, I think it has become the second biggest selling console, most selling console of all time. Even if, and the PlayStation 5 is sat around 100 million-ish, right? And the PlayStation 5 is considered successful. You're not going to turn around and say, oh, the PlayStation 5 isn't successful because it hasn't sold as much as the PS2. No. Or you're not going to say that the PS4 isn't successful because it hasn't sold as much as the PS2. Or the PS3, because none of them have sold as much as the PS2. It's just right place, right time. And so same thing for the Switch. Basically, he outsold the Wii, which is a really big achievement because the Wii was flying off the shelves. Well, I've got my train of thought on that one, to be honest. Where was I going with that one? 2 moments. That's where I was going with it. So even if the Switch 2 sold 75 million units, that's half of the Switch 1, it would still be considered a successful console. It would not be considered a failure, and trust me, Nintendo wouldn't consider that a failure. Yes, they consider the Wii U a failure, but that sold 13 million units compared to the tens of millions, hundreds of millions of units that other consoles have sold. The Switch 2 is not going to fail, first of all. Secondly, all this doom and gloom and the controversy around the Switch 2, it's just the way things are, unfortunately. Until the stars aligned, as I say it, wasn't going to be able to afford a Switch 2. And probably not for a few months, if I'm going to be honest. It's only because of a couple of situations that I'm not necessarily going to go completely into that I'm in a position that I can afford a Switch 2. But, I was going to be unable to afford it until I looked at financials, so to speak, and was like, oh, actually, I can probably afford a Switch 2 if I could actually pre-order one, manage to pre-order one. So, there's that. But the other thing that Wood said is when he says the general public, he's not talking about me or you or a gamer that knows, that's watched the directs, that's looking really forward to June 5th, that's, pre-ordered every game under the sun for the Switch 2. No. He's talking about your mum and pups. He's talking about your brothers and sisters. He's talking about your cousin 3 times removed that happens to be really rich, and they ask you what you'd like for your birthday or for a treat, and you say Switch 2, and then they accidentally go to Walmart and buy a Switch OLED. Instead, I can see where Wood is coming from. But at the moment, it's like mentioning the Switch 2, mentioning Nintendo is like poison at the moment, and I don't understand it. And this one, the reason, as I said in this very video previously, I've steered away from online drama and controversy, and because this is the reason. This is the reason. The internet is a beast, and not always in the good way. I'll be back with you later, guys. Hi guys, so it's currently 9 PM on Wednesday the 28th of May 2025. Just laying in bed right now, and I thought I'd record another segment of this OTGV. So on Reddit at the moment, there's a lot of people posting pictures of Switch 2s going out into the wild. There's a lot of pictures of Walmart, Target, various other places putting up a load of POS signs and marquees and all that kind of stuff for the Switch 2 launch, obviously next Thursday. So a week from now, essentially, literally just over a week from now, which is really, really exciting. I'm actually getting more and more excited the closer we get to next Thursday for a few reasons. I've actually, rekindled friendship with a group of people that are all getting the Switch 2 and they're getting Mario Kart World. So that's going to be really cool to play Mario Kart World with that lot of people, which I used to play with them way, way, way back in the day. So it'll be really good to play Mario Kart World and stuff like that. But one of the main reasons why I wanted to record this segment is somebody put a post up on Reddit saying that they showed their 9-year-old son that all of the POS and all of the Switch 2s are going out there. And they then turned around to him and said that both the Switch 2 and the Switch 1 will still be hooked up to their TV. And he was like, that's OP, man, kind of thing. It's really good to see that, kids are going to enjoy this. Even though I'm obviously excited myself, it's nice to see kids, at the end of the day, when it comes to console launches and stuff like that, I feel sometimes they're more for the younger audience. Anyway, a wife posted on there that their 32-year-old husband is very excited about the Switch 2 as well. And somebody else decided to comment on that post saying if you're 32 years old and you're excited about a Switch 2, you need to get your perspectives in order. Essentially, you need to, there's other things at 32 you should be more excited for. What should they be more excited for? A mortgage? Should they be more excited about making a family? I don't understand these people who are buzzkills to other people. Now, obviously, the person responded and went, but that is a bit of a joke. But the same token, my husband is excited for his Switch 2 that's arriving next Thursday on the 5th. And this person just was a massive buzzkill, sort of saying that, I'm a well-adjusted adult that doesn't get excited over game consoles. And it's like, okay, so it might not be a priority for you, but it's a priority for this other person, obviously, and they're excited about it. I'm excited about my Switch 2. I don't understand why you feel the need to be a party pooper, in a sense. I don't understand why that person, and it's not just that person, there's a few people that have been, some of them are shit posts, I will say that, so obviously they're satirical in nature, but there are some posts out there that seem genuine, at least I think they seem genuine, of, people having a go at people because they're excited. There's one fella that's just retired, and he's buying a Switch 2 with his retirement package, if you will, because he got a retirement package from his employer, and he's spending some of that on a Switch 2. And some people are saying, why at 65, 70 years old, however old that he is, why are you buying a Switch 2 with your retirement package? Because he wants to, because it's his money. I don't understand. There's a YouTube channel that I like to watch on occasions called Food for Dogs. And it's a older woman who I think has now retired. If not, she's got a few businesses that earn her some money. But she's big in on the Vita. Big in on the Vita. Loves the Vita. And she does content about the Vita. And in her comment section, quite often there is, you know, something along the lines of, why is a grandma so interested in the Vita? Does it fucking matter? Does it fucking matter? I don't understand people that are party poopers or buzzkills or whatever it may be. But on a more positive note, it is good to see all of the stuff ramping up now, and there are switches in the wild. Some have made them out into the wild. Unfortunately, I think fortunately, that's a day one patch. So basically the Switch 2 is bricked until this day one patch. So you can't actually play the Switch 2, unless of course you've got a review unit, which I assume they'll send a patch to that or a package with it that allows you to unlock the Switch 2, but the Switch 2s are locked until the day one patch is applied to them, which I assume all the retail Switches will have them. I assume when everyone gets their Switch, that day one patch will be ready to go and will unlock the Switch. But there's unboxings on the internet if you want to watch an unboxing. But yeah, it is bricked essentially until this day one patch comes out, so you can't play the Switch 2 until June the 5th. But as I said, I'm sure many of the different gaming outlets like IGN and what have you have a Switch 2 in-house at the moment and are able to play them. But it doesn't surprise me too much that Switch 2s have made it out in the wild, because once they're on shelves, you know, all it takes is a slightly, you know, a member of staff or have you to not be paying attention, and, you know, one will slip through the net, or a person could steal them, a member of staff could steal them. There are many things that could end up happening, to be honest. So, but the same token, kudos to Nintendo for basically bricking the Switch 2 until you know, June the 5th. That's quite smart, in my opinion. Anyway, I'm going to go for now, guys, and I'll speak to you later. Hi guys, so it's currently 20 to 4 a.m. on Thursday the 29th of May 2025, and this segment is sponsored by 3am Rambles with Vino. Just to make you aware, when it comes to 3am Rambles with Vino, it's more of a concept than necessarily a literal time when I do it. But yeah, I think I'm going to sign off on this video here, to be honest, for a couple of reasons. A, because I did say this video would be coming out last weekend, and it's now quite a few days after that. It is what it is at the end of the day, and I want to wrap this one up and then get the other one on its way, so to speak. Also, my phone is running out of charge. Yes, I could go charge it in the meantime, but I might just record this segment and then not do any more segments for now, charge up the phone, edit the video together, and then upload it tomorrow at some point. I have just made a pledge on GameFound, because they are doing all of Dawn of Madness, the all-in complete pledge, because it's basically come back into Dimension Games have republished the game, basically re-released the game. And I've got all of Deep Madness. I've got the main Dawn of Madness game, but I could sell that on Facebook Marketplace. In fact, I might even sell it this month, to be honest, and get some money for the Switch 2. But yeah, I've gone for the all-in pledge for Dawn of Madness because I got all the all-in pledge for Deep Madness. It makes sense. For those of you who don't know, Dawn of Madness is the follow-on game from Deep Madness, but it's actually a prequel to Deep Madness, and the Faces of Sphere expansion for Deep Madness allows you to bridge over into Dawn of Madness or vice versa, and there are characters you can use in each game and vice versa, so it's kind of worth it. I might actually play Dawn of Madness between now and when the pledge finishes in like 26 days or whatever it is, excuse me, in order to see if I like the game, and if I do, I'll stick the pledge. If I don't, I can always cancel it if I wish to. But I'm going to sign off on this video, guys, and until next time, please take care and enjoy the rest of your day. Ta-ra.